والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العظيم.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and assalamu alaikum. I, Muhammad Abbas Hassan, on behalf of the National Security Division, welcome you all to the second day of the third Islamabad Security Dialogue. The Islamabad Security Dialogue is a flagship event organized by the Government of Pakistan for critical thinking and robust intellectual discourse on some of the most important and pressing challenges and opportunities facing Pakistan and the wider region. The National Security Advisors Forum of the Islamabad Security Dialogue was established in 2022 as a platform that brings together national security advisors of Asian countries to share their unique perspective on security challenges that are reshaping security in the region and beyond. Today, the second National Security Advisors Forum will be moderated by Majid Mahmood, policy expert at the Strategic Policy Planning of the National Security Division, and the keynote address will be delivered by former National Security Advisor of Pakistan, Lieutenant General Nasir Khan Janjua. We also have messages by the NSA of China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan, which will be played during the session. So without further ado, let me hand over the stage to the moderator, Majid Mahmood.
Thank you, Abbas. Good afternoon and welcome to the third Islamabad Security Dialogue and the second National Security Advisors Forum. This forum is one of the key features of the Islamabad Security Dialogue, and it reflects the convening power of the government of Pakistan and the Islamabad Security Dialogue to convene the national security leadership of several countries to discuss international security issues. The theme of this National Security Advisors Forum of 2023 is Reimagining Security Cooperation in Asia. So as we all know that the major powers competition is heating up in Asia and around the world, particularly the US-China strategic competition. And Asia is right at the center of this action. New alliances are being built up, and like for example, Quad, the AUKUS, the I2U2, the Middle Eastern Quadrilateral, and we have also witnessed the increasing frequency of the high-level visits of major powers leadership and officials from US, from Europe, and China to all the major countries, major powers of Asia. So this geopolitical contestation is impacting every aspect of statecraft, and some of these aspects will be deliberated upon later in the evening session titled Global Order. In addition to this, the Asian powers also face regional challenges, and much of their diplomatic and political capital is being spent on resolving regional issues. And one of those issues is Afghanistan, and I hope that our national security advisors will be speaking on that front as well. So without further ado, I would invite former Pakistan's National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General retired Nasir Khan Janjua. His keynote address would be followed by messages from the Minister for Public Security China, Mr. Wang Xiaohong, Secretary of the Security Council of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Gizet Nordaulatov, Then it would be followed by Secretary of National Security Council of Republic of Kyrgyzstan, Marat Imankov. And then at the last, we will have the message from Secretary of the Security Council of Republic of Uzbekistan, Lieutenant General Viktor Makhmudov. Mr. Abbas, my colleague, will deliver an English readout of speeches from Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. So, General Jinjua, floor is all yours. He will be joining us online on the Zoom. The floor is yours, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Engineer Amir Hassan Saab, the brilliant staff of National Security Division, foreign delegates, diplomats, think tanks, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I am joining you with a bit of mixed feeling. I was looking forward for this session to be physically present there. And I traveled all the way from Lahore to Islamabad, but then things got bad. And I was on the roads for long, and then I had to return back to Lahore. But I'm glad that somehow, thanks to technology, that I am able to talk to you. I had prepared a very elaborate PowerPoint presentation because when you are talking of Asia and how do we reimagine its security cooperation, I think some of the maps were essential to be seen or to be shown. But anyway, I'll still make an effort. Before I proceed with my talk, to reimagine security cooperation in Asia, let me say that I wish I was talking about reimagining the security situation in Pakistan, because we are going through some bad times. But let's hope we will come out strong from this situation. Despite this bad time, National Security Division, and especially Engineer Amir Hassan Saab, special congratulations to you, to your commitment, to your resolve, that you continued with your Islamabad Security Dialogue, which is now a very prominent and a very good feature. And along with you, all your staff. And I am also very happy that the National Security Advisors Forum has also emerged along with this Islamabad Security Dialogue, and which is a very good beginning. And if I have to, along with you, reimagine the security cooperation of Asia or in Asia, how do I go about? Why do we need to reimagine? Why do we have to do this exercise again? Obviously, that means there is some change. And Mr. Majid has just mentioned of the competition which is emerging on the horizon, which is between US and China. And if we have to discern what is happening, we really have to see how the world is evolving and what has changed this world, and why then, as a result of that, we have to reimagine the security cooperation of Asia. As we all know, US is the sole superpower, and China is started to emerge as a second power. And we also know that anyone who is superpower, first of all, it has the best geoeconomics. And with that, then it tends to have the best geopolitics. And then comes the phase of geostrategic. So US leads in all these affairs. That is how it is a superpower. But a change emerged when in the last century, the previous century, a prediction came that the future century belongs to Asia. Actually, this is the change which has made us to reimagine. Future century belongs to Asia means, let's just first look at Asia. Asia is actually holding the population, which is about 59.6% of the world. And as it is said, love is where the heart is. Asia has most of the population, maybe poor today, but Asia has most of the consumer markets. Asia has most of the human resource. Asia has most of the natural resources. Asia has most of the development scope. So Asia has the maximum connectivity potential. So virtually, the world is here in Asia as far as people are concerned. Now, with that, there was yet another prediction that by about 2030, US economy will lag behind and China's economy will take over. Another prediction was that by 2040, China's growth rate will cross the growth rate of US. Now, these predictions started to change our world. And today, China has become the manufacturer of the world. China has become the banker of the world. China is the second largest economy. China is the second largest military spender. China is the largest foreign currency. It has largest foreign currency reserves, largest holder of US federal debt, Chinese foreign trade and foreign investment volumes, largest in the world. And it tends to become real that China's economy will lead in some years to come. So that is not a correct situation for US. So what is that miracle? How come? What can US do to reverse this situation? If on behalf of US you have to find the solutions, can US dig more gold? Can US dig more oil to improve its economy? Can US bring back the manufacturing which has transited away? What can US do? How can US remain economically viable and leading? Of course, dollar is a leading currency. Can US club its economy with its allies in the Europe? Because their economy is also equally saturating. Geoeconomics of US is getting affected, which will, of course, affect geopolitics and also geostrategy. It's a fair. So US at this time has triple jeopardy. One, that US has to retrieve its economy. US has to mitigate the challenges, and US has to retain preeminence as a superpower. So when you come to look at Asia, who is rising in Asia? It's actually China. Of course, India is also doing very well. But China then has to be contained. Asia also has the old enemy, which is Russia. So geographically, the previous and the future challenger to US are in the same region. And it so happens that Pakistan is also somewhere co-located. So anything which happens against them also happens against Pakistan. So there was a need to to contain Asia, to contain China. And at that time, the geography came to the help of US. The geography is there is an old theory that as long China continues to operate from South China Sea, it will never be able to become a superpower. And Asia, in fact, has two mouths. One is in Indian Ocean, second is in Pacific. So China, as you know, has the opening only in Pacific. So if these two areas, Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean, can be held by US along with her allies, so China can be effectively contained. US began with the policy of containment of China, which was very obvious. It looked as if China is being declared as an enemy clearly. The same policy was then named as pivot to Asia, which also became under criticism that why are you going to Asia? And then it was named as rebalancing Asia. And then it was called as, when it was criticized that who are you to rebalance Asia? What are you doing here? Then it was called as Indo-Pacific and then Asia-Pacific strategy. This is actually the big change that US wants that it should dominate Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean. When this was happening, at the same time around, India assessed this as a great opportunity, and India started calling China as its potential enemy. India started to speak of two fronts, one side Pakistan and then China. So that actually brought the overlap of US and Indians' interest. US was looking for some hold in Asia because without that, just while being in waters, you cannot dominate the region. So Afghanistan was also one area from where Russia or China or Pakistan and Iran, everything was looked at. Somehow that could not be maintained. But then US became the strategic partner with India. So as of today, to contain Russia, US is using NATO, Eastern Europe. Then you come down to Indian Ocean, where US and India, they are occupying all small places and Now they are also bringing in France. They will call it infras. Then AUKUS, as you know, for the Pacific region. So this is how US, along with her allies, has come around in our world and has surrounded Asia. Now we have to reimagine security cooperation in this environment, that somebody is sitting at our doors. If that be it, let me tell you that now we get into reimagination. But what has been imagined already? Let me mention of that. When China knew the entire situation and how China was being contained, China came up with Belt and Road Initiative, which is a great counter, great move, which means, okay, you want to block me with outside world, I will connect myself all inside. And I will integrate this region, and I will lead economically, and your encircling me, your containing me will become futile. So this is actually the antithesis. Bridge, Belt and Road Initiative is actually antithesis which has already been imagined. The second major thing has been making of SCO. So this is also to strengthen the region. Another thing which has uh, from which has emerged from within this Asia is BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. With that, with this thinking of, with this Belt and Road Initiative, CPAC, Tapi Gas Pipeline, CASA 1000, Khyber Pass Economic Corridor, Istanbul, Tehran, Islamabad Railway, SARC, ASEAN, some things are already there on ground. So these things have also emerged. And they are already existing. If I have to reimagine, along with you, of course, my first and foremost thing that I would like to reiterate, that please think economically. Well-being of people and their security will come automatically. When we reimagine, we should do this economically. The second thing that I want to leave with you is that stay unprovoked. Look inward, integrate inside, and consolidate inside. And now let's proceed further. BRI must be completed. And of course, this is by way of cooperation. Then BRI be expanded, because so far BRI has touched the major regions, major routes, but then this has to be expanded. BRI has very effectively gone to, planned to go to Europe. And when Asia and Europe, when they are connected, this will become Eurasia. BRI also connects Africa. So when these three regions are connected, actually, that will become a new world, a future world, which will be Afro-Eurasia. And more, the US compresses China and all of us speedier this world will emerge. Afro-Eurasia. Now, when we are talking of connectivity, expanding this BRI, I think Western Asia should be given the priority because this is from where we can also connect with the Europe and also with Africa. And India, if wants to proceed with it, India should seek dispute resolution with Pakistan to be connected with this part of the world. So similarly, SCO, we also expanded uh, for regional integration. BRICS should also be expanded and for intra-region cooperation. Afghanistan, we all should work together and Afghanistan should be a bridge instead of a barrier. I have been professing as NSA that Afghanistan has become the wound of this world, and we all need to work and heal this. Other areas which I think are very pertinent for Asia, of course, I am from Pakistan. I on whose behalf I think, who has to lead. But let's do a bit of loud thinking that we have to come up with the regional cooperation, integration, and development forums which can bring us all together. We have to come up with human resource development forums. We have to come up with Asian women empowerment, climate change forums. We have to be very particular. We have to actually think of food security collectively in Asia, poverty reduction. Also, we have to deconflict Asia, and we have to think of forming dispute resolution forums. Then, like World Trade Organization, we have to make up, Asian Trade Organization, and we already have Asian Development Bank, but then all of us should also contribute and have a financial system of Asia. And then we can also have Asian currency. If any country tries to push its own currency and try to replace dollar, it will meet our resistance. And my suggestion should be that Asia should collectively think and have its own currency that might make the difference. And of course, NSA forums also needs to be expanded because we need to deconflict Asian region. In future vision of Pakistan, I personally feel that what I mentioned of Afro-Eurasia, the new world, in my reckoning, Pakistan actually becomes a pivotal country to ensure or to provide connectivity to this world. 60% is Asia, 9 point something is Europe, 17 point some is Africa. So most of the population is here. So Pakistan actually will become, along with Iran, of course, will become the pivotal country of this world. And of course, CPAC is just half of the dream. Half of the dream is, linking with Central Asian republics through Afghanistan, and then also ultimately to Russia, to Iran, to Turkey, and to Europe. And eventually you will see, as a result of this Ukraine-Russian war, Russia will be more inclined towards Asia because Eastern Europe will, of course, war affected. They will consolidate and they will put up a stronger front to Russia in and sometimes to come, which will suit US, of course. But Russia will also try and come down and will connect better with the remaining part of Asia. And that is how Pakistan, as a pivotal country, will rise beyond CPEC even and also connect with Africa. And Pakistan is a very important country of future. And for Pakistan, I would say that we have to be friend with everyone. Think economically, we have to be friend with everyone. And we are not into taking sides, as unfortunately, with the little age that we have, 20 years have been eaten by the way USSR came to Afghanistan. 20 next years have been eaten up by this 9/11 and its follow-up. And I think our lesson should be that no more. We should not give our next 20 years to this competition. Let there be a competition, whatever. But let's be everybody's friend. Pakistan should belong to everyone. Pakistan belongs to a better world, a progressive world, a prosperous world. And Pakistan itself deserves to be a prosperous country ourselves. Let's hope we get out of this present turmoil and start doing well the way we should do. I thank you all. Thank you very much. I thank you for your patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, General Janjua, for your profound remarks. Now, we will play the recorded message of Minister for Public Security of China, Mr. Wang Xiaohong.
尊敬的哈桑查密，各位朋友，很高兴参加伊斯兰堡安全对话。巴基斯坦积极打造安全磋商平台，团结地区国家合作应对安全挑战，并以灵活方式、开放姿态向世界发出亚洲和平之声，中方对此表示赞赏。当前，虽然新冠疫情得到一定的控制，沙伊实现历史性和解，但国际和地区安全形势仍然乱象丛生，大国博弈日趋激烈，地缘冲突不断加剧，冷战思维卷土重来，乌克兰危机愈演愈烈，阿许等地区安全风险持续外溢，传统安全与非传统安全问题交织涌现，恐怖主义、跨国犯罪、新型犯罪、网络安全等问题叠加共振，国际社会正经历前所未有的风险挑战。面对变乱交织的国际安全形势，中国国家主席习近平高瞻远瞩，郑重提出全球安全倡议，明确回答了世界需要什么样的安全理念，各国怎样实现共同安全的时代课题，对解决好亚洲安全问题具有重大现实意义和时代价值。 中国期待与各国一道，推动全球安全战役在亚洲落地生根、开花结果，让亚洲变得更加和平、更加安全、更加繁荣。对此，中方有4点主张：第一，坚持相互尊重，这是维护亚洲安全的基本前提。亚洲国家具有丰富多样性，相互尊重是凝聚合作共识的基础和保障。主权原则是现代国际关系准则的基石，要充分尊重各国主权和尊严，坚持国家不分大小、强弱、贫富，一律平等，要充分尊重彼此核心利益，坚持互不干涉内政，维护各国自主选择社会制度和发展道路的权利，要充分尊重各国合理安全关切，在谋求自身安全的同时，兼顾他国安全，不断增强维护地区安全的内生力量。第二，坚持公平正义，这是维护亚洲安全的重要原则。立国要道在于公平正直，一国安全不应以损害他国安全为代价，各国安全利益都是彼此平等的。历史反复告诫我们，唯我独尊、以强凌弱是动荡之因，丛林法则、强权逻辑是战乱之源。我们必须践行真正的多边主义，坚定维护以联合国宪章宗旨和原则为基础的国际关系基本准则，坚持通过对话协商，以和平方式解决国家间的分歧和争端，坚持大家的事大家商量着办，积极寻求安全利益最大公约数，反对搞霸权、霸凌、霸道，反对把亚洲阵营化、北约化、冷战化。第三，坚持合作共赢，这是维护亚洲安全的理念指引。单则易则，重则难摧。安全利益，你中有我，我中有你。要有效应对人类面临的困难和挑战，合作是我们唯一的选择。各国应坚定奉行双赢、多赢、共赢理念，摒弃唯我独尊、损人利己、以邻为壑等狭隘思想， 践行共同综合合作可持续的安全观，以合作谋安全、谋稳定，以安全促和平、促发展，努力为各国人民创造持久的安全稳定环境。第四，坚持统筹兼顾，这是维护亚洲安全的应有之义。我们要统筹发展和安全，通过发展化解矛盾，消除不安全的土壤，积极探寻实现可持续安全的治本之策、长远之道。要不断加强全球安全治理体系和能力建设，推动形成各国政府和国际组织协同、非政府组织参与的安全治理格局。要统筹应对传统与非传统领域安全威胁，共同应对地区争端和恐怖主义、气候变化、网络安全、生物安全等全球性的问题，多管齐下，综合施策，防范化解安全困境。思想引领方向，行动成就未来。中国是全球安全倡议的提出者，更是落实这一重大倡议的践行者。中方始终致力于推动与亚洲各国的双多边安全对话合作。近年来，在反恐、禁毒、打击跨国犯罪、网络安全、能力建设等领域取得丰硕的合作成果，有效维护了本国和地区的安全稳定。中方将继续高举合作、创新、法治、共赢旗帜，深化与各国执法安全合作，积极分享安全治理的经验，始终做亚洲安全的维护者、建设者、贡献者。展望未来，和平发展、合作、共赢的历史潮流不可阻挡，人类前途终归光明。百年大变局下的国际执法安全合作，是充满光荣与梦想的远征，是穿过惊涛骇浪的远航。中方愿同各国一道努力，共同践行全球安全倡议，为守护亚洲和平安宁、维护世界和平稳定而努力奋斗。最后，预祝本届对话取得圆满成功。谢谢大家。
Now we will be playing the message of Secretary of the Security Council of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Mr. Gayat Nordolotov, and his speech will be later expressed in English by Mr. Abbas.
Уважаемые участники заседания, Позвольте приветствовать всех коллег и поблагодарить пакистанскую сторону за организацию диалога по безопасности. Данный формат показывает свою высокую востребованность. Он позволяет нам обмениваться информацией и мнениями, сближать и координировать наши оценки, находить взаимовыгодные решения для противодействия рискам и угрозам. Крайне актуальной является сегодняшняя тема переосмысления сотрудничества в области безопасности в Азии. Полагаю, что поиск новых подходов должен исходить прежде всего из понимания стоящих перед нами вызовов. Современная геополитическая ситуация отличается высокой динамичностью и непредсказуемостью развития. К большому сожалению, реальностью сегодняшнего мира стало беспрецедентное расширение спектра угроз. Приходится наблюдать снижение эффективности механизмов международной безопасности и дипломатии, усиление противостояния между государствами за сферой влияния. Слом прежней архитектуры мировой безопасности сопровождается эскалацией насилия и ростом нестабильности. По данным ООН, с 2008 года число конфликтов увеличилось в 3 раза с возрастанием роли транснациональных сил. Регионы Центральной и Южной Азии в условиях геополитических разломов также сталкиваются с качественно новыми вызовами и угрозами. Президент Республики Казахстан в своем апрельском выступлении отметил: разрыв традиционных экономических и логистических связей сопровождается рекордной инфляцией, замедлением мировой экономики, нарастанием долгового бремени государств, множатся торговые барьеры и растет взаимное недоверие между государствами. Все это, безусловно, не способствует укреплению безопасности и самым негативным образом влияет на социальное благополучие населения наших стран. Казахстан сегодня находится на стадии переформатирования своих подходов к государственному управлению с целью обеспечения высокого уровня безопасности нашей страны и всех граждан. Это возможно только при условии тесной региональной кооперации и взаимодействия с нашими партнерами. Полагаем, что перед всеми государствами азиатского региона стоит необходимость актуализации подходов к национальной безопасности. Рост террористической угрозы и проявление экстремизма и сепаратизма, угроза продовольственного кризиса, проблема нехватки питьевой воды, природные катаклизмы требуют выработки и реализации совместных мер. Без проведения согласованной региональной политики данные факторы создают колоссальные вызовы для устойчивости функционирования государственных институтов. В этих условиях представляется важным дальнейшее развитие партнерства в рамках Шанхайской организации сотрудничества и других региональных структур. Особо хотел бы отметить такой механизм, как совещание по взаимодействию и мерам доверия в Азии. Считаем значимым начавшийся процесс его трансформации в полноценную региональную международную организацию. Полагаем, что это внесет существенный вклад в построение обновленной архитектуры азиатской безопасности. Рассчитываем на вашу всестороннюю поддержку в этом направлении. Принципиально важным представляется объединение наших усилий для урегулирования ситуации в Афганистане, который занимает стратегическое положение на стыке Центральной и Южной Азии. Проблематика безопасности и стабильности в этой стране не может быть разрешена без прагматичных инициатив и проектов региональных стран по развитию экономики, раскрытию транзитного потенциала. Казахстан предпринимает конкретные шаги в данном направлении. Помимо гуманитарной помощи, они включают торгово-экономическое сотрудничество. В частности, недавно принято решение об открытии торгового представительства Казахстана в афганском Герате, что будет способствовать дальнейшему увеличению товарооборота между нашими странами, который за прошлый год достиг почти $1 миллиарда. Мы убеждены, что многонациональный народ Афганистана не должен оставаться наедине перед лицом возникших трудностей. Полагаем, что в целом для обеспечения экономической безопасности на азиатском пространстве требуется расширение региональной сети коммуникаций, развитие новых транспортных путей, в том числе по южному маршруту. Необходима выработка согласованных действий в таких направлениях, как энергетическая, водная и продовольственная безопасность, поскольку они во многом определяют благосостояние граждан и общественно-политическую стабильность. Азия обладает крупнейшим в мире аграрным потенциалом, но в то же время, по оценкам продовольственной и сельскохозяйственной организации ООН, около 1 миллиарда человек на континенте испытывают сложности с доступом к питанию. В современных условиях все большую актуальность приобретает казахстанская инициатива по созданию зеленых коридоров для наиболее значимых видов сельскохозяйственной продукции. Кроме того, нельзя упускать из виду такие сферы взаимодействия, как образование, поддержка инноваций, информационная безопасность. Уважаемые участники встречи, в завершении хотел бы подчеркнуть значимость перехода от ситуативного реагирования на региональные кризисы к их системному предотвращению. Это требует более системной и глубокой работы и должно стать стержнем новых подходов к сотрудничеству в области безопасности в Азии. Уверен, что вместе нам удастся продвинуться в данном направлении. Благодарю за внимание.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the official readout of the speech. Dear participants, it is my pleasure to welcome all colleagues. I want to thank Pakistani side for organizing the Islamabad Security Dialogue. This format demonstrates its high demand. It allows us to share information and opinion, bring together and coordinate our assessments, find mutually beneficial solutions to counteract risks and threats. Today's topic of rethinking of cooperation in the field of security in Asia is very actual. I suppose that searching new approaches should be based, first of all, on understanding challenges we are facing. The modern geopolitical situation differs with high dynamic and unpredictability of its development. Unfortunately, unprecedented broadening of spectrum of threats became reality of our modern world. We are witnessing declining of effectiveness of international security mechanism and diplomacy, increasing of confrontation between states for spheres of influence. The breakdown of previous architecture of world security is accompanied with escalation of violence and growth of instability. According to UN, since 2008, the amount of conflicts has increased 3 times with the growing role of transnational forces. In conditions of the geopolitical rift, Central and South Asian regions also face new challenges and threats. President of the Republic of Kazakhstan in his April speech noted the breakdown of traditional economic and logistical ties is accompanied with record inflation, slowdown of world economy, increase of debt burden of states, the number of trade barriers multiplies, and mutual distrust between states grows. All these certainly do not promote strengthening security and have negative influence on social well-being of citizens of our countries. Today, Kazakhstan is on the stage of reforming its approaches to state governance in order to ensure a high level of security of the country and all citizens. This is possible only under condition of close regional cooperation and interaction with our partners. We suppose that common need of all states on Asian region is to update approaches to national security. The growth of terroristic threat, manifestation of extremism and separatism, threat of food crisis, shortage of clean drinking water, natural disasters require preparation and resilience and realization of joint measures. Without agreed regional policy, these factors create colossal challenges to sustainable work of state institutions. Under these circumstances, it is important to further develop partnership within the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and other regional entities. I would like to emphasize on such mechanism as the Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in Asia. It started to transform into complete regional international organization. We think that this is an important step. We suppose that it will bring essential contribution on the construction of updated Asian security architecture. We are counting on your full support in this direction. It is fundamentally important to bring our efforts together in order to regulate the situation in Afghanistan, which has a strategic position at the junction of Central and South Asia. Issues of security and instability of this country cannot be resolved without pragmatic initiatives and projects of regional states on development of economy and reaching transit potential. Kazakhstan understands and undertakes certain steps in this direction. Besides humanitarian aid, it also includes trade economic cooperation. Particularly, it was decided to open a trade representative office of Kazakhstan in Herat recently. It will contribute to further increase of trade turnover between our countries, which almost reached $1 billion last year. We are convinced that multinational people of Afghanistan should not be left alone with difficulties. We suppose that an expansion of regional network of communications, development of new transport ways, including along the southern route, are required for ensuring economic security on Asian space. It is necessary to develop coordinated actions in such fields such as energy, water, and food security, because these, in many respects, determine the welfare of citizens and social political stability. Asia has the largest agricultural potential in the world. However, at the same time, according to the assessment of Food and Agriculture Organization, about 1 billion people on the continent have difficulties to access food. In modern conditions, Kazakhstani initiative about creating green corridor for the most significant types of agriculture products is becoming increasingly relevant. Moreover, such areas of interaction as education, support of innovation, information security should not be overlooked. Dear participants, in conclusion, I would like to emphasize the importance of transition from situational response to regional crisis to its systematic prevention. It requires more systematic and deep work and should become a basis for new approaches of cooperation in the field of security in Asia. I am confident that we can make progress together in this direction. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Abbas. Next, we have the Secretary of the Security Council of the Republic of Kyrgyzstan, Mr. Marat Imankulov.
Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги. Приветствую всех участников очередного раунда обсуждения проблем безопасности в Азии под председательством Исламской Республики Пакистан.
My greetings, dear colleagues. I welcome all participants of the next round of discussions on security in Asia under the chairmanship of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. I express my sincere gratitude to the Pakistani side for organizing this event and giving me the opportunity to deliver a speech. I am confident that the analytical conclusions drawn from the assessment of the situation in the region and the world, which will be represented during today's presentations, will bring countries closer and provide additional basis for the further strengthening of political, legal, and military potential that is being used daily to counter current and emerging challenges and threats. Today, the world is experiencing changes unseen in a century. The structure of international politics and economics is undergoing profound changes and requires adjustment. Also, reformatting of the configuration of global relations and their principles is taking place. The emerging military-political situation in our region and the forecast of its further development show that the situation will depend on developments in Afghanistan in the long term. Unfortunately, the image of Afghanistan as a base of terrorism in the territory where threats to the states of Central Asia are formed is not changing. Analysis by the SCO ERATS suggests that the Vilayat Khorasan is planning to expand its sphere for influence in the territory of Afghanistan in 2023. It's expected that up to 7,000 fighters of this international terrorist organization will be concentrated in the northern parts of Afghanistan by early summer. Strengthening and expansion of a bridgehead in Afghanistan for the Islamic State is the implementation of an aggressive strategy against other states in the region, including Iran, China, Russia, and the Central Asian republics. ISIS that takes advantage of the failures in governance by the Taliban, as well as receives foreign support, may become a more authoritative alternative for ordinary Afghans, former security officials, and representatives of ethnic groups who have no opportunity to influence or participate in the decision-making process important for the country. As evidence of this, the Islamic State, known for its brutality and radicalism, has criticized the Taliban's policies toward Afghan women and girls through its propaganda resources. In addition to Vilayat Khorasan, there are many groups on Afghan territory ready to carry out terrorist activities and religious extremist ideas to neighboring countries. Among them, there are Al-Qaeda, Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan, East Turkestan Islamic Movement, and others. Along with that, the economy and humanitarian situation in Afghanistan continue to deteriorate. Periodic outbreaks of infectious diseases are noted. People are actually in distress, living in the worst security conditions, and the role of state institutions is weak. In addition, the level of drug and arms trafficking has not decreased, and the likelihood of new waves of Afghan refugees is growing. Situation within the Taliban's ruling circles remains unclear. Here, such assessments as split and contradictions are increasingly used. Situation within the Taliban's ruling circles remains unclear. Here, such assessments as split and contradictions are increasingly used. Thus, modern realities have not made the terms Afghan factor, Afghan processes, and Afghan issue more or less positive or encouraging. This situation cannot serve as a basis for building confidence in what is happening in and around this country, and a possible escalation of the civil war would only add to the general tensions in the region. Many things depend on the policies of the current Afghan authorities, since there is no alternative to the Taliban today, and this has to be reckoned with. It's better to take rational position in the issue of interaction with the leadership of Afghanistan. One of the determining factors for improving the lives of Afghans is undoubtedly financial resources. Unfreezing of Afghan assets would help to intensely strengthen stability in the country. On its part, Kyrgyzstan intends to continue contributing to peaceful settlement of the Afghan issue in various forms. We will continue to participate actively in multilateral negotiation processes on Afghanistan in the UN, SCO, CSTO within the framework of regional initiatives, including the meeting of secretaries of Security Council and national security advisors on Afghan issues. It is necessary that opportunities for regional influence on the Afghan crisis not only increase, but also produce concrete results, the main of which is the reduction of threats emanating from Afghanistan. Regarding the general security problems of the region, outside the focus of Afghanistan, I would like to note that there are forces interested in destabilizing the situation in Asia. Individual geopolitical players are seeking to implement a series of scenarios in our countries, ranging from internal unrest to local interstate conflicts, which ultimately escalate into military provocations in order to create a situation of managed chaos. In order to realize these goals, serious financial, informational, and other resources are involved. Under such conditions of artificial external formation of new challenges and threats, our countries and relevant competent authorities need to expand the room for maneuvering in making operational decisions. It's relevant to develop measures to strengthen the resilience of states to the impact of destructive factors. This area for joint action has enormous potential. Deepening cooperation is required in a wide range of areas, including such pressing issues as border, migration, water, energy, food, and other types of security. There is also a request for economic and military cooperation. Kyrgyz Republic considers the promotion of interested and pragmatic international cooperation to be promising. It's important to work together through the process of rebuilding the trust lost in some sectors in the interest of security. It's known that in the format of international integration associations, each participating state makes a lot of efforts to strengthen their ties. In turn, I would like to inform that we have recently held successful Kyrgyz-Uzbek consultations between the offices of the Security Councils on bilateral level. On a regular basis, we interact with the offices of the Security Councils of Russia and Kazakhstan. We also discussed current issues of reducing the risks of incidents in the border area with Tajik counterparts in a bilateral format. Partnerships have been established with India, Iran, China, Pakistan, and other states. As it can be seen from practical actions taken for the sake of security, stability and peace, comprehensive consideration of neutralizing challenges and threats is most effective. Positive results can be achieved in the shortest possible time and can be sustained securely in the long term if the interested parties adhere to the concept of cooperative and comprehensive security. I'm sure that each of our countries is striving to build on existing achievements to ensure a better future for its peoples. In this context, the common goal is obvious: to create the necessary conditions for maintaining long-term regional stability, which is the basis for the successful internal development of any state in the region. Thus, the issue of intensifying contacts, exchanging information and best practices in countering terrorism, extremism, transnational crime, drug trafficking, as well as countering the challenges and threats is becoming increasingly relevant. I express my willingness to work more deeply in these directions. Thank you for your attention.
Выражаю готовность более углубленно работать по указанным направлениям. Благодарю за внимание.
Now we have the last message from the Secretary of the Security Council of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Lieutenant General Viktor Makhmadov. His speech will be translated by Abbas in the end.
Уважаемый господин Амир Хасан, уважаемые участники форума, прежде всего хочу выразить благодарность пакистанской стороне за приглашение принять участие в третьем заседании Исламабадского диалога по безопасности. За короткое время Исламабадский диалог стал важной площадкой для обмена мнениями по ключевым вопросам региональной и международной повестки, выработки конкретных предложений в области безопасности и стабильного развития. Считаем весьма актуальной повестку третьего Исламабадского диалога и нашего форума. Сегодня мир претерпевает глобальную трансформацию, несущую с собой новые вызовы и угрозы. Обостряется геополитическая напряженность, отмечается рост экономической, технологической и военной конкуренции между крупными державами. Силовое разрешение конфликтов и достижение политических целей военными методами превращается в обычную практику, обнажая кризис мировой дипломатии. Дефицит диалога и доверия, растущая неопределенность в международных отношениях осложняют решение текущих конфликтов, провоцируя эскалацию конфликтов. Активизировались процессы милитаризации, разработки новых средств ведения войны, муссируются угрозы применения оружия массового поражения, усиливается противостояние в киберпространстве и информационные войны. Ситуация осложняется замедлением мировой экономики, а также последствиями глобального изменения климата, усугубляющие дефицит природных ресурсов и проблему продовольственной безопасности. Все это негативно отражается на стабильности и безопасности как отдельных стран, так и целых регионов. Указанные тенденции резко обостряют угрозы и вызовы для стабильности и устойчивого развития наших стран. Во-первых, на фоне кризиса вокруг Украины и в других горячих точках Афганистан сегодня отходит на второй план. Страна сегодня столкнулась с беспрецедентным экономическим и гуманитарным кризисом. По данным ООН, 2/3 афганцев нуждаются в экстренной гуманитарной помощи. Отсутствие подвижек в решении афганской проблемы повышает риск потери шансов стабилизировать обстановку в Афганистане. Ужесточение санкционной политики и дальнейшая изоляция Афганистана ведет к усилению радикализации внутри страны и превращению ее в плацдарм для международных террористических и экстремистских организаций. На наш взгляд, только путем диалога с талибами, интегрируя Афганистан в межрегиональные связи, мы сможем добиться гарантий стабильности и мира в этой стране. В этой связи президент Узбекистана предложил создать международную переговорную группу высокого уровня под эгидой и при поддержке Организации Объединенных Наций. Международная переговорная группа будет вести переговоры с талибами от имени мирового сообщества. Это позволит реально сблизить нашу позицию в отношении новых властей Афганистана и будет способствовать скорейшему выходу данной страны из кризиса. Надеемся на поддержку данной инициативы нашей страны. Во-вторых, нарастают угрозы, исходящие от международных террористических и экстремистских группировок, в том числе в Афганистане, представляющие прямой вызов соседним странам. По данным ООН, исламское государство Хорасан удвоило свою численность, в том числе за счет боевиков-выходцев из стран Центральной Азии, а Аль-Каида остается неконтролируемой. Основными угрозами и вызовами рассматриваются распространение радикальных идеологий и рост их влияния на страны Центральной Азии, целенаправленные вылазки вооруженных групп на территорию сопредельных стран, рост численности возвращающихся в страны исхода из горячих точек боевиков. Нас особо беспокоит активизация главарями сил международного терроризма вербовочной и пропагандистской работы, сбора пожертвований, виртуального обучения навыкам террора и координации действий. Размещаемые ими в соцсетях различные материалы оказывают негативное влияние на подсознание и способствуют радикализации населения наших стран, особенно молодежи. В этой связи предлагаем следующее. Создать механизм взаимодействия по линии спецслужб, предусматривающий своевременный обмен информацией о планах и устремлениях сил терроризма и экстремизма, пресечение их подрывной деятельности, в том числе в киберпространстве, перекрытие каналов инфильтрации боевиков в наши страны. Укрепить региональное взаимодействие в сфере борьбы с религиозным экстремизмом, в том числе путем обмена информацией о формах и методах вербовочной работы, радикальных организаций, а также положительным опытом в данном направлении. В-третьих, проблемы роста наркотрафика и трансграничной организованной преступности. Афганистан остается главным источником распространения наркотиков в регионе и в мире в целом. По данным ООН, только в 2022 году площадь посевов опийного мака в стране увеличилась на 32% и составила 233 тысячи гектаров. Отмечаем попытки трансграничных преступных группировок реанимировать ранее ликвидированные пути и наладить новые каналы контрабанды наркотиков. Для этого благоприятные условия создают упрощенный визовый режим, открытие новых международных пунктов пропуска и зеленых коридоров на границах, а также увеличение пассажирских и грузовых перевозок. Нам необходим конкретный план совместных действий по устранению наркоугрозы. В настоящее время мы работаем с зарубежными партнерами по принятию под эгидой ООН совместного антинаркотического плана для стран Центральной и Южной Азии. Надеемся на вашу поддержку данной инициативы. В-четвертых, возрастают риски ухудшения экономической ситуации практически во всех странах региона. Разрыв логистических цепочек из-за пандемии, а также санкционное противостояние между крупными державами провоцирует рост цен и инфляции. Повышение цен на энергоресурсы уже привели к удорожанию транспортно-логистических расходов, что влияет на торговые связи развивающихся стран. Ситуацию усугубляют риски превращения наших стран в арену блоковой конфронтации. Отмечаем попытки крупных держав поставить другие государства перед геополитическим выбором, без учета их национальных интересов. В этой связи считаем важным укрепление политического диалога и взаимного доверия наших стран, проведение курса на недопущение девальвации роли ООН и институтов межгосударственного сотрудничества, отстаивание норм и принципов международного права. Предлагаем акцентировать внимание на совместной реализации инфраструктурных проектов, направленных на углубление транспортно-логистической, энергетической и продовольственной взаимосвязанности наших регионов. В-пятых, возрастают вызовы, связанные с климатическими и экологическими проблемами. Нас серьезно волнуют проблемы изменения климата, рост среднегодовой температуры, таяние ледников, сокращение ресурсов трансграничных рек, деградация земель и падение производительности сельского хозяйства. Эти кризисные явления ослабляют совместные усилия по углублению экономической интеграции нашего региона, препятствуют его стабильному развитию, провоцируя конфликты. В условиях роста потребностей населения и экономик перспективы нашей страны могут столкнуться с водным кризисом, его негативными последствиями для сельского хозяйства, продовольственной безопасности и генофонда. Необходимо углублять сотрудничество в области экологии путем обмена опытом и знаниями в сфере рационального водопользования, внедрения водосберегающих технологий, реализации проектов развития зеленой энергетики. В этих целях планируем провести первый Самаркандский международный форум, посвященный глобальным климатическим вызовам в ноябре текущего года в Самарканде. Надеемся на ваше активное участие в работе данного международного форума. Уважаемые коллеги, в завершении хочу подчеркнуть, что, придерживаясь принципа неделимости безопасности, Узбекистан выступает за самое широкое сотрудничество в этой сфере. Крайне заинтересованы в расширении взаимодействия со всеми партнерами во имя мира, прогресса и процветания. Безусловно, сегодняшний обмен мнениями будет иметь практическое значение и станет еще одним значимым шагом в укреплении безопасности в Азии. Желаю всем участникам форума плодотворной работы и благодарю за внимание.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official readout. Your Excellency, Mr. Amir Hassan, dear forum participants, first of all, I want to express my gratitude to the Pakistani side for the invitation to take part in the third meeting of the Islamabad Security Dialogue. In a short time, the Islamabad Security Dialogue has become an important platform for the exchange of views on key issues of the regional and international agenda, the development of specific proposals in the field of security and sustainable development. We consider the agenda of this third Islamabad Security Dialogue and our forum to be very relevant. Today, the world is undergoing a global transformation that brings with it new challenges and threats. Geopolitical tensions are escalating, economic, technological, and military competition is growing between the major powers. The forceful resolution of conflicts and the achievements of political goals by military means are becoming into common practice. Exposing the crisis of world diplomacy, lack of dialogue and trust, growing uncertainty in international relations complicate the solution of current conflicts, provoking the escalation of crisis. The processes of militarization and the development of new means of warfare have intensified, and threats of the use of weapons of mass destruction are being exaggerated. Opposition intensifies in cyberspace and information wars. The situation is worsened by the slowdown in the global economy, and the effects of global climate change are worsening natural resource scarcity and food security. All this has a negative impact on stability and security of both individual countries and entire regions. These trends sharply worsen the threats and challenges for the stability and sustainable development of our countries. Against this backdrop of crisis around Ukraine and other hotspots, Afghanistan fades into the background. The country today faces an unprecedented economic and humanitarian crisis. According to the UN, 2/3 of Afghans are in need of emergency humanitarian aid. Lack of progress in resolving the Afghan problem increases the risk of losing chances to stabilize the situation in Afghanistan. The tightening of the sanctions policy and the further isolation of Afghanistan leads to increased radicalization within the country and its transformation into a springboard for international terrorist and extremist organizations. In our opinion, only through dialogue with the Taliban and by integrating Afghanistan into inter-regional ties, we will be able to achieve guarantees of stability and peace in this country. In this regard, the President of Uzbekistan proposed to create a high-level international negotiating group under the auspices and support of the UN. An international negotiating team will negotiate with the Taliban on behalf of the global community. This will make it possible to really bring our position closer to the new authorities of Afghanistan and will contribute to the speedy exit of this country from the crisis. We hope for the support of this initiative of Uzbekistan. There are growing threats posed by international terrorist and extremist groups, including in Afghanistan, representing a direct challenge to neighboring countries. According to the UN, the Islamic State of Khorasan has doubled its numbers, including due to militants from Central Asian countries, and Al-Qaeda remains uncontrollable. The main threats and challenges are considered as 1. The spread of radical ideology and the growth of its influence on the countries of Central Asia. 2. Targeted attacks by armed groups on the territory of neighboring countries. 3. An increase in the number of people returning to their countries of origin from the hotspots of militants. We are particularly concerned about the activation by the leaders of the forces of international terrorism, of recruitment and propaganda work, collection of donation, virtual training in terror skills, and coordination of actions. The audio-video material they post on social networks have a negative impact on the subconscious and contribute to the radicalization of population of our countries, especially young people. In this regard, we propose the following. Create a mechanism for interaction between special services providing for the timely exchange of information about the plans and aspirations of the forces of terrorism and extremism, the suppression of their subversive activities, including in cyberspace, blocking the channels of infiltration of militants to our countries, to strengthen regional cooperation in the field of combat with religious extremism, including through the exchange of information on the forms and methods of recruiting radical organizations, as well as positive experience in this direction. The problems of the growth of drug trafficking and cross-border organized crime, Afghanistan remains the main source of drug trafficking in the region and the world as a whole. According to the UN, in 2022 alone, the area under opium poppy cultivation in the country increased by 32%, amounting to 233,000 hectares. We note the attempts of cross-border criminal groups to revive previously liquidated routes and establish new drug smuggling channels. For this, favorable conditions are created by a simplified visa regime, the opening of new international checkpoints and green corridors at the border, as well as an increase in passenger and freight traffic. We need a concrete plan of joint action to eliminate the drug threat. We are currently working with foreign partners on the adaptation under the auspices of the UN of the joint anti-drug plan for the countries of Central and South Asia. We look forward to your support for this initiative. The risk of a worsening economic situation are growing in almost all countries of the region. The rupture of supply chains due to pandemic as well as sanctions, confrontation between major powers provoke an increase in prices and inflation. Rising energy prices have already led to an increase in the cost of transport and logistics, which affects the trade relations of developing countries. The situation is worsened by the risk of our countries becoming into the arena of bloc confrontation. We note that the attempts of major powers to put other states in front of a geopolitical choice without taking into account their national interests. In this regard, we consider it important to strengthen the political dialogue and mutual trust of our countries to pursue a course to prevent the devaluation and devolution of the role of the UN and institutions of interstate cooperation upholding the norms and principles of international law. We propose to focus on the joint implementation of infrastructure projects aimed to deepen the transport and logistics, energy and food interconnectedness of our regions. Climate-related challenges are on the rise and environmental issues are also on the rise. We are serious about climate change. An increase in the average annual temperature, melting glaciers, a reduction in the resources of transboundary rivers, land degradation, and a drop in agricultural productivity. These crises weaken the joint efforts to deepen the economic integration of the region, impede its stable development, provoking conflicts. In this context of growing needs of the population and economies, in the future, our countries may face a water crisis, its negative consequences for agriculture, food security, and the gene pool. It is important to deepen cooperation in the field of ecology through the exchange of experience and knowledge in the field of rational water use, the introduction of water-saving technologies, and the implementation of green energy development projects. To this end, we plan to hold the first Samarkand International Forum dedicated to global climate changes in November 2023 in Samarkand. We look forward to your active participation in this international forum. Dear colleagues, in conclusion, I want to emphasize that adhering to the principle of indivisibility of security, Uzbekistan stands for the widest cooperation in the region. Extremely interested in expanding cooperation with all partners in the name of peace, progress, and prosperity. Of course, today's exchange of views will be of practical importance and will become another significant step in strengthening security in Asia. I wish fruitful work to all forum participants. Thank you for your attention.
So this has been an excellent session, and where senior officials from China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan, and our keynote speaker, General Nasir Janjua, they expressed their visions for the Asian security and provide concrete proposals and policy input to stabilize the Asian security environment. In the interest of time, we will be skipping the question and answer session, and I would like to invite Secretary National Security Division, Engineer Amir Hassan, for his vote of thanks for the speakers, and then from there onwards we'll move towards lunch.
Can I say a few words?
Sir. Sure, sir. Please, your remarks.
I am very happy that Islamabad Security Dialogue has proceeded as planned. And I truly want to appreciate Engineer Amir Hassan Saab. Amir Hassan Saab, you have done it. And I'm very happy because since some time we do not have the National Security Advisor. But you carry the day. You along with your staff, I really appreciate your commitment and resolve. And please keep doing your good work. And I am also truly grateful to all the audience that despite difficulties, they have come here to be part of this Islamabad Security Dialogue, and the foreign delegates and all our friends. And I am really very appreciative that despite the difficulties, Islamabad Security Dialogue has been held and there's been no break. I thank you very much. Please keep doing your good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your encouragement.
Rahim, General Nasir Janjua Sab, I have never served with you, but I have heard very good things about you when you were here as NSA. I know you as a calligrapher because when I was Secretary National Heritage, you used to participate in our calligraphy exhibitions. I am very grateful to you for your kind words, but basically it was a teamwork, as you also mentioned. I have got a very good team here, and I'm very grateful, and I really appreciate that you came all the way from Lahore to Islamabad, but you had to go back. My best wishes are with you and your family and your loved ones. I hope the situation improves and sanity prevails. Ladies and gentlemen, I also would like to thank the Minister for Public Security, China, and the Secretaries of the Security Council of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan for sending their messages. But most of all, I'm grateful to the audience. They have been very patient, and I hope that you will continue to attend the next 3 sessions, which are also very important. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will break for lunch now. The next session is scheduled to start at 14:05 hours, so I would request the audience to have a quick lunch and join us for an international law session, which will have speakers from the International Court of Justice and University of Oxford and other eminent legal experts. Thank you.